Together for managed democracy!
Together for victory!
Together for liberty!
A legend.
Welcome all our marvelous friends. In the fast-paced world of video games, where the new titles are launched often, few will be as memorable as Helldivers 2. Released just a few days ago, as of February 8th, this masterpiece, made by Arrowhead Studio and distributed by Sony, has captivated players' hearts and smashed several records, quickly becoming a milestone in just a few days. The game is based on realistic military sci-fi action seen in the Alien and Starship Troopers worlds and pits players in a chaotic struggle to preserve the planet. The first installment of the game was released in 2015 and was somewhat successful, but it's nowhere as inviable as the sequel, which has 200,000 players in its first week on Steam. It has proved its power by holding the 24th spot among Steam's top list of games, with the most concurrent players surpassing even GTA 5. Today's topic will be solely focused on covering the many sorts of adversaries in Helldivers 2. Indeed, this complete Helldivers 2 adversary roster will provide you with the knowledge you need to confront future difficulties given by the two opposing factions. So put down your controllers, grab a notebook and a pen, and let us begin our educational voyage. But before we get started with the video, we have a small request for you. If you like our content, subscribe to us and like this video. It might be just a simple click for you, but it means a lot to us. Now that we've gotten that out of the way, let's get started.
Experience true freedom.
Requesting air support!
The enemies in Helldivers 2. In Helldivers 2, you'll confront tough opposition from two distinct factions. In your endeavor to spread democracy through the galaxy, you face the Terminants and the Automatons. Both clans have diversified lineups, and each one of them comes with its own attributes and weaknesses. Mastering the art of detecting and overcoming these opponents lies at the core of carrying out missions properly. Let's start exploring Terminants first. Terminants. What makes the Terminants dangerous is that they've already claimed the eastern planets. This army comprises 8 different enemy types with very different strengths and weaknesses. They are the most common enemies faced in the game. They are vulnerable to fire and usually have less armor than the automatons. Instead of using ranged strikes, they mainly depend on melee attacks. Let's take a look at the 8 types of Terminants you'll come across in Helldivers 2. Scavengers. Scavengers are the smallest infantry unit among the Terminants. Although small in size, they should not be underrated because the mass strength of their swarm can be deadly. Whenever a Liberty agent is identified, they unleash a deafening screech, which alerts the bugs, and they finish off the enemies to ensure the faction's supremacy. Scavengers are often encountered on bug missions of planets and seen in large numbers. They have a remarkable speed, working primarily to bait more powerful Terminants to the Helldivers locations. Hunters. Hunters are slightly larger than Scavengers and excel in mobility, swiftly leaping to deliver deadly melee strikes. These fighters can also use long-range, powerful electro-pulse gauntlets that can vaporize air up to 10 kilometers while using stealth and guerrilla tactics. Encountered on many planets with illuminate activity, hunters roam the battlefield individually, traversing semi-random paths as they seek out Helldivers. They frequently patrol around mission objectives and are drawn to stratagem beacons. Warriors. The Warrior is a medium-sized, lightly armored Terminant that often charges into battle without using sophisticated tactics, leaving them open for bullets, and their tough armor protects them from passing objects, though well-aimed shots can do a lot of damage. Warriors are often found in groups of 3 or 5 as they emerge from the underworld into the lower and middle worlds. When they emerge, they move quickly to confront players at a distance and deal damage with their claws. A few hits will render a Helldiver unconscious. Warriors move slowly, but if they are heavily wounded, they can gallop toward their target before being overcome by wounds. Removing their armors and destroying them quickly before they attack you is essential. Stalker. Stalkers are deadly Terminants with discolored skin that allows them to blend in and avoid detection. They do, however, make a unique screeching sound when approaching players, alerting them to their existence. They are regarded as the most strategic of the bugs, preferring to strike when an ideal chance arises. Stalkers may be found in most planets with insect populations, patrolling one at a time and moving around the battlefield in semi-random patterns, particularly around their nests. If they notice a player, they will stalk and follow them to their objectives. When the Stalkers see the Helldivers, they swiftly bridge the gap by jumping a long distance into a melee position to attack. Although their poison attacks provide little damage, they slow down players a great deal and open doors for other insects to take advantage of. Destroying their nests is essential if you want to escape being overtaken by their ferocious chase. Bile Spearer. These enormous insect-like creatures are known for their sluggishness and powerful acid attacks. When defeated, they erupt with tremendous force and they may carry out distant artillery bombardments on higher difficulty levels. There are two species of Bile Spearers, green and orange. Green variations have more increased endurance and inflict more damage. Bile Spearers are not primary bosses or anything, but they can complicate missions if handled carelessly or in large groupings. They are present on every planet in the solar system, typically appearing during bug events. Bile Spearers can combine with other opponent kinds to create more difficult battles. Their existence is attributed to accidental spills of toxic chemicals on Terminant E710 farms, causing their thoraxes to swell with corrosive acids, which they expel in response to encountering democracy. To effectively neutralize them, targeting their backs with explosives or aiming for their head, which is considered a weak spot, is advisable as conventional weaponry inflicts reduced damage. Brood Commander. Brood Commanders are essentially larger versions of the warrior type. Scientists perceive them as the bug equivalent of generals, earning them the nickname Commander. Among the esteemed researchers of Super Earth, they are encountered primarily on high-level planets. Brood Commanders appear sporadically, emerging from the underground in groups consisting of 1 or 2 individuals alongside several elites. Upon spawning, Brood Commanders swiftly engage players in melee combat, delivering poisonous strikes capable of inflicting severe wounds on Helldivers. The poison also incapacitates the player, preventing retreat. Similar to the warrior and elite counterparts, Brood Commanders move relatively slowly. However, when severely injured, they frenziedly charge their target without bleeding out. Unlike elites and warriors, they exhibit greater resilience and can endure significant punishment, posing a considerably heightened threat. Charger. Chargers appear only on medium and higher difficulties and strike fear into the hearts of players with their imposing presence. Resembling large armored beetle rhinos, Chargers live up to their name by charging directly at their targets. Their thick exoskeleton renders a rushing charger nearly unstoppable, necessitating a rapid lateral movement as the recommended response protocol. Chargers typically target one team member at a time, focusing their efforts on taking them down. While they are heavily armored except for the yellow patches in their bodies, these areas are not considered weak spots. Instead, any non-explosive damage to these areas will only inflict 10% of the original damage. Coordinated attacks and teamwork are essential to defeat Chargers more effectively. Best of luck with that. Bile Titan. Bile Titans are the most powerful of the Terminants. These massive giants release lethal acid and try to crush players underfoot. They are initially the primary foes in boss encounters beginning with hard level, but in larger stages they may be seen roaming the environment freely. They represent the epitome of the Terminant faction's might. Despite their immense size, Bile Titans exhibit surprising agility, and just like Bile Spearers, they project streams of bile towards their targets. A solitary Bile Titan has the capacity to obliterate an entire SEAF platoon independently, engaging them without the backing of robust orbital stratagems or a substantial budget for personal replacement is ill-advised. And that's it for the Terminants. It's time to move on to the Automatons.
The freedom to encounter fascinating life forms and introduce them to our sophisticated technology.
Automatons. The automatons, sometimes referred to as the bots, are the other enemy force in Helldivers 2. They are a smaller but potentially more dangerous group. Originating from the western part of the galaxy, bots often use armor to defend themselves, preferring to engage in close quarters battle, and are especially susceptible to energy weaponry and armor-piercing strikes. Their ranks comprise of 8 distinct enemy types with many variations equipped with different armaments. Engaging them proves notably more difficult than facing the Terminants, given their proficiency with long-range weaponry and widespread armor, rendering conventional weapons ineffective against them initially. So let's take a more detailed look at them. Trooper, Raider, Marauder. They serve as the automatons' foot soldiers carrying various weapons. They are basically guns with legs. They can be categorized into 3 types. Troopers, standard automaton infantry equipped with machine guns. Raiders, automaton infantry armed with rocket launchers. Marauders, automaton infantry carrying cannons. They are vulnerable to headshots and explosives. Commissar. The Commissar is a crude simulation of military leadership. It is improved with significantly faster processing and a basic command subroutine. Despite its lack of sentience, it prefers to avoid fighting whenever possible, displaying a despicably cowardly temperament. Commissars who resemble infantry units can be identified by carrying a red sword in their left hand. They use a combination of melee and range assaults, but only turn aggressive toward Helldivers after troopers, raiders, and marauders have been dealt with. The most effective technique for defeating them is to maintain distance and aim for headshots or to use explosives for quick elimination. Scout Strider. The Scout Strider represents a mechanized unit controlled by another machine, an ambulatory turret guided by the limited intelligence of an automaton trooper. Essentially, these are bipedal vehicles maneuvered by smaller robots. Encased in boxy armor for frontal protection and equipped with an interior turret, Scout Striders exhibit considerable speed and maintain continuous fire against Helldivers. One must seek cover when confronting them and employ armor-piercing weapons to overcome them. Additionally, if a Helldiver manages to flank them, targeting the trooper operating the turret will disable the vehicle. Trust me, it's not as easy as it sounds. Berserker. Berserkers are spiked robotic adversaries who use chainsaws as their weapons. They excel in the melee and wear some armor for protection, but their primary technique is to run directly at people, which can petrify as well as be valuable for gamers to shoot them down. Each chainsaw has a CPU set with one goal: to get as fast as possible closer to the target. Their stomachs and heads are especially vulnerable. Shotguns, grenades, and armor-piercing weapons are suitable to take them down. By doing so, you can evade their melee attacks. Devastators. The Devastators are an armored version of the Berserkers that can yield different weapon configurations on their arms. These intimidating, heavily armored robots can be armed with a range of options such as shields, machine guns, and shoulder-mounted rocket launchers. The latter being the deadliest, they usually show up from medium difficulty levels onwards. Due to the heavy armor they wear, their heads are the only exposed parts, meaning they are good targets for headshots. The best strategy is to use shotguns or larger weapons to slow down or disable them. Hulk. These powerful combatants, like other robots, have vast powers and initially surface around the challenging difficulty level. Some are equipped with flamethrowers and rockets, or are made to engage in direct combat by charging their adversaries. They are difficult to defeat and possess extraordinary resilience. Like all automaton units, the lumbering Hulk is designed solely to deliver heavy firepower without any semblance of intelligence. If encountered, the recommended course of action for Helldivers is to promptly call in the most potent orbital bombardment available. The primary weakness of Hulks lies in exposed glowing vents to their backs. If sufficient damage is directed at these points, they will be demolished. Tank. Possibly the most lethal among the robotic ranks, tanks become more prevalent around a hard difficulty level. They are exactly what their name suggests: huge, slow-moving, all-terrain vehicles made from black metal that blend into the darkness. Although they are slow-moving, they are very dangerous if anyone gets the area of the main cannon's fire. There are two types of tanks. The Shredder type has a vulnerability on the back, while the Annihilator has no apparent weaknesses. The tanks provide constant fire in all directions, and the Helldivers must stay as far away from them as possible. To destroy them, blow up the vents at the back of the turret and use stratagems designed to attack armored vehicles, which are capable of destroying buildings and useful for repeated deployments. Along with this, the upper part of the turret can also be damaged, thus making grenades a good solution for disabling them. Dropship. Similar to the concept in Halo, dropships are exactly as their name implies: aerial vessels engineered to swiftly deliver additional automaton soldiers onto the battlefield. These ships are filled to capacity with robotic infantry, although they do not possess an easily discernible weak point. Targeting one of the thrusters with either the recoilless rifle or disposable anti-tank weapon will bring down the ship. At least, that's what I've heard. Marvel's verdict. So those are all the types of enemies you'll see and encounter in Helldivers 2. Helldivers 2 stands out as a modern multiplayer classic that almost achieves everything to perfection. It offers you liberty as well as exciting gameplay. It is built in such a way that it is not overly dependent on microtransactions or a paid battle pass for its progression. The game brings in new adversaries, modifiers, and objectives each time, while ensuring that gameplay remains intriguing and diverse, so that gameplay remains thrilling and ever fresh. So what are you waiting for? Plunge into the hellish world of Helldivers 2 on Steam to start your incredible adventure today. Please also take some time to share your experience by posting a comment on this page. Do tell us about your journey thus far. And as always, if you liked this video, remember to hit that like button and share this video with everyone you know. I'll see you on the next video.
the Helldivers.